In the summer of 2021, a lot of the footballing world's focus was on the 26-year-old Englishman, Jack Grealish. Grealish was coming off yet another masterful season at Aston Villa, a club that he had been at for 19 years, but it was fully expected that Jack Grealish would finally make a jump to a quote-unquote bigger club. After years of several Big Six clubs trying to sign him, it was thought around the world that this was the time that he would actually take the leap, finally leave Aston Villa and join a Big Six team. And I'll tell you this, as an Arsenal fan, I really wanted him, as I'm sure every fan of a Big Six team did. Jack was so good for Aston Villa and even looked superhuman at times, often carrying a below par Villa team to a decent spot on the table. Everything that he brought to the team as a player was outstanding, and after years of speculation, he finally made his move, joining Manchester City for £100 million, becoming the most expensive English player ever at the time. But just 3 years later, Grealish is marred by constant injuries and lack of playtime, and even when he is fit, he struggles to break through into the starting 11. But how could this have happened? How could one of England's brightest young stars now barely get any playtime for Manchester City, and he looks half the player that he used to be? Well, that's what we will be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Back of the Net. I hope you guys are all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, it's very easy to forget just how good and just how influential Jack Grealish was in Aston Villa. Outside of being the club captain for Aston Villa from the age of just 24 years old, on the pitch he was a joy to watch, often breezing past defenders, creating tons of glorious chances, and being able to get on the score sheet himself. In Jack's last season at Aston Villa, while being quite injury riddled, missing 15 games for Villa, Jack Grealish was still absolutely mesmerizing and playing his best football of his career. Jack managed to score 7 goals and get 12 assists in just 27 games, including scoring 2 goals and assisting 3 in Aston Villa's infamous battering of Liverpool, beating them 7-2. So when Man City broke the record for an Englishman spending £100 million on Jack Grealish, while at the time it was a little concerning just how much they had to spend on him, it was for the most part very understandable. To add him to the guard squad that was and still is Man City looked like an amazing piece of business by the citizens. And in Jack Grealish's first season with Manchester City, he was pretty okay, I suppose. He didn't often get a good run of games thanks to Pep Guardiola's infamous rotation. He played in several positions across the front three and even sometimes in behind the striker. But no matter how you look at his first season, for the most part, I think we can all agree when I say it was pretty underwhelming. Jack got just 6 goals and 4 assists in 39 games for Man City. He was pretty okay, but again, it was just somewhat underwhelming, and I get it. Coming from Aston Villa to the juggernaut that is Manchester City, and arguably under the best manager ever with a stacked squad, it can be extremely difficult to adjust and get used to their way of working and their way of playing. And I know City managed to win the Premier League and make it to the semi-finals of the Champions League, where they suffered that shock defeat to Rodrigo and co. But I don't care how you slice it, I don't care how you're gonna look at it. Jack Grealish's first season at Manchester City, all things considered, was quite underwhelming. But going into Jack Grealish's second season, Jack was a lot more impressive. Now, the stats might not jump off the page at you, scoring just 5 goals for Manchester City and getting just 11 assists in 50 games. But for the first time in a long while, Jack was healthy for pretty much the whole season. He got a lot more playtime and more consistent minutes under Pep. And I mean, the obvious fact that Jack Grealish and Man City managed to win the treble made Jack's second season pretty decent at City. And when Jack played last season for City, he looked far more comfortable. He looked like he belonged in the City team, looked more assured of himself, and a big factor to that was the fact that Pep Guardiola played him primarily as a left winger without having him play other different positions, and of course giving Grealish tons of game time added on to Grealish's confidence, which in turn made him play better football. But despite all the progress Jack Grealish made last season, this season it has all come tumbling down. Since the end of last season, Jack Grealish has only played the full 90 minutes 9 times, excluding the Club World Cup. And if you look at who those games were against, being Young Boys twice, Luton Town, Sheffield United, and Everton, you start getting a sense of just where Pep Guardiola sees Jack Grealish as a player. Jack has played only 702 minutes so far in the Premier League this season, scoring just 3 goals and getting 1 assist with just 5 shots on target. Extremely underwhelming to say the least. And with Man City acquiring a much younger and quicker player in Jeremy Doku, plus Phil Foden playing the best football of his career, you start getting a sense that Jack is on the outside looking in. Foden being ahead of Jack Grealish in the pecking order as of right now makes complete sense to me. Jeremy Doku makes sense as well, because as much as Doku still sometimes makes some boneheaded plays, he is far younger than Grealish and has a super high ceiling as a player. Outside of injuries, Jack Grealish is just not getting enough game time. And frankly, I don't think his performances this season have truly warranted more game time. As much as people want to say Pep Guardiola is underusing him, has he really performed all that well to be used more? I don't think so. I think when you have Doku performing as well as he is, when you have Foden performing as well as he is, it is extremely hard for Grealish to get into the team. Bernardo Silva as well is ahead of him, rightfully so. For me, Bernardo Silva is one of the best players in the world at the moment. I don't see how Grealish makes it back into this team. I just don't. Regardless of how you slice it, I don't think Grealish has been a great signing for Man City. Now, I'm not saying Jack Grealish was a flop, being that Jack Grealish was quite an important part in a treble-winning team, but I think it was extremely underwhelming for the price that was spent on him and the expectations set on him. He has been extremely underwhelming, and now kicking on to being 30 years old, I'm really struggling to see a way that Jack Grealish makes it back into this team, and I'm fully expecting Jack Grealish to part ways with Man City in the summer, maybe go back to Villa, I don't know, go find another club, but I don't think his future is at Man City. But yeah guys, that's the video. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about the signing of Jack Grealish? Has he been a flop? Has he not been a flop? Do you think Jack Grealish will pick it up and get back into the starting 11? Let me know in the comments below. Please be sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.